what we do for fun, that's what it's doing. To start a new project, to taking the requirements, to start with a blank canvas and to start digging into the company, the new industry, to learn how a company works. That is fun to me. I don't want AI to do that. That's something I'm good at. That's what I'm looking forward to in a project. Creating a logo, a new brand, a new color scheme, putting it together, doing marketing stuff, or doing music or art, or recording this podcast with you. It's a highlight of my week, and I love it, and it's a lot of fun. I don't need AI to do that. I want AI to do the boring things, the things that I really don't want to do, the things that I, that you have the want to do's and the have to do's, right? I keep teaching the kids, you do your homework first because that's what you have to do. And then you can do what you want to do, right? You can go play with your toys or whatever it is. I would like AI to do the have to do things. And then I can do the fun things, right?
Welcome, everyone, to the Power Platform Boost podcast, your weekly source of news and updates from the world of the Power Platform and the Microsoft community, with your host, Nick Dolman and Ulrika Akabek.
Hi, Ulrika.
Hey. Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's been a busy weekend. I would say long time no see, but I saw you technically yesterday. Of course, we was at Nordic Summit. You've seen we've done the Nordic Summit recap, which for those of you who are interested, see that. We had our pre-day workshop the day before, which went really, really well. And then, of course, there was the after party that went, I like to say I got home early in the morning.
Yes, we did. That was a lot of fun. It was a full day. And I think I'm not fully recovered, but it was absolutely worth it. And then having a Sunday with a lot of sun in Norway and having a good day, just kicking back and relaxing, that went well. So yeah, and you're still in Norway, right? You're still here in Oslo.
Yeah, I am. Working. We working this week and next week. I am going to take a little pop over to Dublin later this week for the Power Conference, the Irish Power Platform Conference or Day or whatever they're calling it. Helping out Joe Gill and them. Yeah. And then, here till next week and then back home for Canadian Thanksgiving. So.
Sounds perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we have Scottish Summit, and then we have all the other ones. So you're coming back here in next month as well, right?
Yeah, there's always bouncing back and forth. There's a few things, and we'll talk about the events later. But there is a ton of news and updates that we should begin to work our way through, and a few other things that I do want to kind of talk about a little bit too in terms of podcasting and AI. So sort of stay tuned more to the end as we talk about that, because
you're really into the cliffhangers, aren't you?
Oh, totally. Well, this keeps them coming, right? Keeps the listeners engaged. So first one, we've been working both in Power Automate for years. I know you've been working a lot in Power Automate. I was actually fixing one of our flows today, fixing up a few things. But what's the one thing, and we've talked about this before, date time,
dates,
formatting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Matthew Devaney, he's like a machine. He like every week, I think there's a new blog post. I think he spends like a week making like a whole whack of blog posts and just trickles them out, I believe every Sunday or Monday. And he wrote an article on the Power Automate format date time function examples. So he's got a whole bunch of examples there that you can use in Power Automate expressions. It's a great resource. I bookmarked that, because a lot of times I'm working on trying to format the dates in Power Automate. So thanks, Matthew, again, for your amazing blog and your amazing content. It's definitely going to be, what I like about his, it doesn't have to be deep and complex. He has those as well, but he provides these things as just good little resources to kind of have at your fingertips.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see more and more of these small little snippets on LinkedIn, for instance. And that's very good. Seems to be engaging in the audience as well, and seems like to be kind of easy to consume for people. So that's very good. Yeah, perfect. I also saw something that was from on Matthew's LinkedIn feed, but this was about enhancing user experience with the custom settings in Power Platform. He saw that there was a no, actually, sorry, I got this wrong way around. So Matthew posted on LinkedIn that he saw a new settings link in his environment, and he clicked it, and it's into the same kind of user experience, the same kind of settings that you would see in your old Dynamics 365 Advanced app, model-driven app. So it's kind of, oh, this is new and shiny. Maybe this is what they're gonna, where they're gonna move stuff. And we talked about that before. There was an announcement a couple of weeks ago that they're going to move everything over to, of course, Power Platform Admin Center. So that makes a whole lot of sense. He published that as a short little post on his LinkedIn feed. And then, of course, there's a whole whack of people that joins in the conversation and shares their insights. So, for instance, you have someone called Karl-Johan Spiik. I think we mentioned him on the podcast before as well. He added a link to one of his blog posts showing how you can enhance the user experience with custom settings in Power Platform. It's a 3-part blog post series showing how you can actually, he's created a table in Dataverse that holds your personal user settings for a couple of different features, notifications, stuff like that. And then also how to build a Power Automate flow that can read those user settings and behave differently, regarding how you've set your preferences, and also a custom page to show you where you can set those preferences. So a very neat little set of posts there to kind of show you how you can customize a good user experience. And also, I saw something interesting. Roma Gupta, do you know her? Technology specialist at Microsoft.
I'm not sure if I've met Roma, but I have seen her stuff for years. I think we might have sent a few messages back and forth, but yeah. She's so part of the community.
Added a comment. Yeah, and she added more features coming soon. Stay tuned. So that's very interesting. You have kind of Microsoft also joining in the conversation and kind of alluding to something going on. So that's also, of course, very exciting. And then on top of that, we have our good friend Steve Mordew join the conversation and actually asking Carl right out, do you use AI for your blog post? Because he kind of recognized what we talked about a couple of times as well, the embark on a journey type of communication style. And also the images are, of course, Microsoft Designer or AI created. And then Carl actually admitted to saying, a couple of months ago, I did use a lot of ChatGPT to write my blog post and also create all the images, but I've had feedback. And it's not good feedback. So now I'm dialing it back down. I'm writing. So the last few blog posts that Carl's produced or published has been his own content through and through, and also sourcing other kinds of illustrations and images for his blog posts. So I think overall it was kind of an exciting stream of, and I love to see that on LinkedIn. We see that so much more these days, how the community is coming together and interacting, and it's becoming more of a conversation more than an advert placket kind of thing that used to be back in just a year ago, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. That might have become as a result of, I think a lot of people are no longer using X as much, or Twitter. I still love going on Twitter. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just a weird thing, or X or whatever you call it now, just to see the threads and the back and forth because it's unfiltered. Maybe I kind of like it raw and in the wild, but although I like these conversations on LinkedIn because I think we actually know each other in real life. Like a lot of us have met each other at conferences or events. Then the conversation's a lot more there is a certain level of respect and proper debate decorum, I guess you could call it. We don't always agree with each other. Like you and I don't agree on some things sometimes. But overall, the whole conversations are really, really good. Interesting about what you said about the Copilot generated content. And again, bit of a cliffhanger. Wait more to the end of the episode, because I am going to dig into something kind of interesting.
excited to hear all about it.
All right. So, but I mean, part of the things that's great with Copilot, of course, what I like using Copilot for, don't get me wrong, I don't, but we saw that they have the Copilot for Power Pages, the @Power Pages in the GitHub Copilot chat for VS Code preview, of course, by Neeraj. Nandwana, he's a principal product manager. Neeraj is one of my, of course, I have a lot of favorite people at Microsoft, but he's also one of my favorite people in Microsoft because anytime when I was working there, Neeraj would be one of those ones that would just sort of send me a message on Teams going, "We're working on this really cool feature. Can I have a meeting with you? Can I show it to you? Can I get your feedback?" And so I really appreciated that. This looks really cool. I've been trying to get it going, but on my new laptop, I'm having a few issues. So I'm really kind of plugging away. But it just looks really cool to start using that GitHub Copilot chat to generate Power Pages code. So this is one of these things I am super excited about. I'm looking forward to diving into that and being able to use that in actual projects when we're writing code for Power Pages.
Yeah. I try to get it working on my machine or on my own tenant as well, but it's not available in my region yet, so I can't really play with it. But yeah, and I like the fact that they're calling it a participant in the Copilot chat experience. I like that you have the Power Pages Copilot as a participant in your chat, and of course, if this actually does create good content and good code, then yeah, absolutely, I'm all for it. So it's going to be interesting to play with it for sure. And also,
speaking of Power Pages, you posted something.
Yeah, also from Neeraj. They announced, I think that was just last week, a new introducing AI summary for lists components in Power Pages. So this is also AI and also Power Pages, where you can, when you add a new list to your page, you can toggle to say, add an AI summary on top, and also that's going to be displaying charts, interactive charts, and visualizing your data on top of lists. And I'm not sure if it works. Because I looked at it, I tried to add it to my page today, and you can have that both on the old experience and the new experience. So the toggle isn't really dependent on if you use the new component or the old component, because I thought maybe that would be tied to the new one, but it's not. So that's going to be fairly interesting. I'm hoping it's going to be smart, and also curious to see how much we can customize it. But that's it's AI, so it's a priority.
Yeah, and I saw that you posted something here about from Justin, the GM of Power Pages on Microsoft Dynamics World, about the about portal concepts and Power Pages and things like that. Like, of course, we know this isn't just a little niche product. This is becoming a mainstream solution in the Power Platform. So, what were your thoughts on that article?
No, it's nice to see where Justin's head is at in terms of where we're going with Power Pages as a platform, and he talked about this at PPCC Power Platform Conference in Vegas as well. When after our workshop, he shared a bit about his vision for where he wants to see Power Pages in the future as a development platform and as a web platform. And they talk about intelligent business portals and also the intelligent studio, and how AI is going to be infused both in the front end for the end user, but also in the maker experience. And what I highlighted in that was also the numbers, because it kind of blew me away a bit, but because I've heard these numbers before. But in the article, they reference Microsoft sources saying you have over 287 million active monthly users on Power Pages, over 2.9 billion with a B website requests per month. And they had a peak throughput of over 17,000 requests per second. I mean, if you think that Power Pages is still a little niche thing in the corner of the platform, think again, because it's massive and it's only growing. And I know that the monthly active users, they've doubled that just in a year. So if you look at that curve, that's pretty exponential. And if we're going to follow that trend, it's going to take on its life of its own for sure. But it's very interesting to see. And of course, we're in the prime position now, being very both key people in the Power Pages community. But we also see it through the community.
Absolutely.
How much attention Power Pages is getting.
Yeah, and Power Pages isn't like the only thing happening in the Power Platform, of course. And it's kind of funny. We talked a little bit about connections and connection references and those types of things. And we've talked before about kind of flow coding standards. But Matt Colin Jones, he had a couple of interesting articles specifically around connections with oAuth, and then some cloud, and with that, some coding standards as well. Kind of built a chart there that I see that you posted the show notes like right before we started recording. So I haven't had a chance to look at this. So tell the people about what you discovered.
Yeah, well, it's exactly what you just said, and it kind of I was reassessing my own Google skills when I found this, because I was confused why I haven't found this, because this is the thing that I've been working on this for the last 2 months and I haven't found this. But it is Matt Collins Jones who put together a blog post about the 3 different you can delegate your Power Platform pipeline runs to, you can use a stage owner, you can use a service principal, and you can use oAuth to run it. And then he talks about the pros and cons of using the 3 different approaches, but also it kind of summarizes that oAuth kind of solves everything, because at the end, the conclusion of his blog post, and he goes into very details and on all the details on what you can do to set it up. And he says the way that he set it up now, he runs the pipeline. He has a deployment setting which tells then the OAuth which connection to use in the destination environment, and that can be owned by a completely different user. Meaning that when you're done with your deployment, all the flows are turned on, they have the right user, they're using the right connection reference, and that connection reference is now pointing to the right connection when you're done. And that is kind of the holy grail and the point that we've been trying to go to. Unfortunately, it also says along the ways, we're on a few points that it's important that you do this up front. You need to set this up front. So I'm a bit worried that because we have deployed through the whole down the whole pipeline so many times already, maybe it's a bit too late for us. I'm hoping we're able to backtrack, but I'm going to dig into this week for sure. And then also he's like you said, his Power Automate framework of coding standards for cloud flows. That's a GitHub repository where he added the chart that we're looking at, both of us on the show notes here, where of course a named user account being not supported and not recommended for anything, but the service principal isn't perfect either, and that kind of surprised me because I was thinking that was the way to go. So he has it's interesting for sure, and it's complex. And he also starts off his blog post saying that this is complicated, this is hard to get right, and this is how far I've gotten. So it kind of just goes to show that the struggles we've had the last few months it's not just us. Yeah.
It was interesting because I was watching a session on ALM just recently, and I asked a question about how do you handle connection and connection references, and the presenter just looked at me. He said, "It's dirty work."
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we kind of got the gist of that, definitely. But also, I saw another a video today about from someone just you created a video about Power Automate and how to work with Dataverse lookups and relationships in Dataverse with Power Automate cloud flows. I mean, there's the simple stuff, and then there's the dirty nitty gritty stuff. So yeah, we'll share the links to the show notes for that video as well. You have to check that out.
Excellent. All right. We also, and someone else who we saw this past weekend at Nordic Summit, a really good friend of ours, Jonas Rapp. You posted something here about some of the updates that he's done to his tools. Of course, he added the Excel feature that we absolutely love, but he's added some logging for bulk updating.
Yeah, and it's just a simple little update, but I just wanted to shine some light on Jonas's tool because, XRM Toolbox, it's absolutely essential. I also saw a post, and I got the numbers wrong, but I think it was the top 50 or top 20. I think it was the top 20 tools of the XRM Toolbox, and Jonas wrote 10 of them or something. So it's basically Jonas's toolbox. And he created he updated his tool to now include logging as well. Because if you do bulk update or bulk anything, you need to log it because you don't want to document that by hand. And so that's very neat. And it's going to save a lot of developers a lot of time. And actually also because we saw, I sat with Jonas at dinner this weekend, and he told me about a teleprompter. This is very interesting for us and anyone else out there that does podcasts. Teleprompter is, you think, and actually it was Johan that told us about it. Then Jonas was struggling to kind of comprehend how that could be handy for a podcast, because you don't want to kind of have the text scrolling through the screen. Well, actually, you can now use that with your camera. So then I can look you in the eye while we're recording this, and also have the camera be at the same place. So that's going to be kind of fun. We need to get one of those and check that out for the podcast for sure. Because
Yeah. Because, we have totally scripted out everything that we talk about beforehand, and we're just reading from the teleprompter as we do this.
No, the point is that that's not what you do. Then I can actually see you in the teleprompter instead of looking at the little dot on the top of my screen like I do now.
Okay, fair enough.
Because wouldn't that be neat though? I wish that the camera would be in the middle of the screen. That goes for both mobile and for desktop devices, right? You can actually, in Teams meetings, of course, you can actually look people in the eye, and then I know that there's software that's supposed to do that, to move your eyesight to where you want to be, but I don't think that's good enough. I'm looking forward to seeing how that evolves for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then you had something else, Copilot, Team Copilot. What is a Team Copilot?
Okay, so this is the slippery slope rabbit hole we're going to dive into. I think it's interesting. So I went to an event, and I met an MVP from the Netherlands, Femke Cornelissen. I think she's very well known in the Dutch community, more in the Microsoft 365 area. She's done a lot with Copilot, done a lot with AI. And then we got started, talking about one of my favorite things, podcasts. And I was telling her about Boost and what we do. And she said, "Oh, I have a new podcast." And she said, "Listen to this." And it wasn't her at all. It was two people talking about Copilot. Now, she wrote an ebook, and that's on her website. And this ebook, she took that and fed it into a service called Google NotebookLM. It's in preview. It's a Google thing. She uploaded this, and that generated the podcast of two people talking about her ebook. Now, this wasn't just transcription of voices. This was an actual conversation between two participants. Now, so I was just sort of blown away by all this. And I was like, honestly, not just a little freaked out, a lot freaked out, because it's, what's the point of us doing a podcast if I can generate this? But even like with you and I, and all the little shenanigans and the little pauses and the little blips and the odd little swear words that pop up here and there, to me, this is real. So this is real podcasting. But what Femke showed me was just sort of kind of blew me away. So I did the same thing. So our next topic that we were going to talk about is the new Plan Designer. Now, of course, this was announced at the Power Platform Community Conference. The Plan Designer, just in terms of the topic itself, really cool. Instead of, when you're designing, this has been something I've been saying for years. Don't start building your software on that blank canvas. You should plan it out. You should do your database, your data modeling, your diagrams. You should have at least a good plan. You should have your user stories. You should have your item in DevOps, or a whole bunch of work even before you get fingers on keyboard to start building your software. The Plan Designer, the idea there is to take those specs, to take those user stories, upload them into this new thing, and you can build intelligent apps. And then it's going to start working and start doing your ERD diagrams, giving you options. Should this be a model-driven app, a Canvas app? Again, I've signed up for the preview. I've not actually I haven't been onboarded yet, I guess they could say. So I haven't tried this, so I don't know all the ins and outs. But to me, this is really exciting because it could help take some of that tedious work out of everything. that's the article. I took the link to what I used to learn about this, the link to the blog post that we'll have in the show notes, and I fed that into the Google NotebookLM, and I said, generate me a podcast about this link. And it did. And I'm going to try to play it. If I might have to go back and edit it, but let's see if it actually will come through. And I won't play the whole thing, but it is, like I said, kind of.
Okay, so get this. Remember those sci-fi movies where like people just talk to computers and boom, things magically happen?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting closer. This blog post from Microsoft about their Power Apps platform is like packed with news.
Yeah.
And it seems like AI is the star of the show. We're talking about something called Copilot, which is basically an AI assistant that helps you build apps.
Right.
And helps users, work smarter once the app is actually built.
It's definitely a big shift. This isn't just about making things, a little bit faster or easier.
Right.
Microsoft is talking about a fundamental shift in how we build and interact with software, really.
Right. And what really caught my eye is this thing called Copilot.
Yeah.
It's like having an AI assistant that helps you at every stage of that app building process, even after you've launched it.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of what experts are calling intelligent apps.
Okay.
Essentially software that can learn and adapt, just like we do.
Wow.
In fact, IDC predicts that by 2026, a whopping 40% of all new apps will have some form of AI like baked in.
Yeah.
That's going to change the game for businesses.
Yeah.
And frankly, for anyone who uses software, which is pretty much all of us these days.
So less coding, more AI. It sounds amazing, but like.
So
and
there
I
you
haven't
go.
really listened at it. I listened to just a little bit, and you showed me the clip that Femke had created this weekend as well, and it blows my mind, to be honest. Because you would think I expected it to be two robot voices, being a bit staccato kind of, but it's not. It's two people that they're interrupting one another, they're kind of talking above one another a little bit. It's so natural and so flawed that I would not be able to say that was fake just listening to it. It's pretty crazy.
So this is one of those things
you want to
where
go into gardening? You want to take up gardening? Or make a garden company. You can just be garden designers. Yeah, I can't do gardening, right?
No, I can't. No, so that's perfect. Yeah, gardening, get a farm.
No, is it just me? Because we talked about it this weekend, and we talked to a lot of people about this. I mean, the creative fields, right? What we do for fun, that's what it's doing. To start a new project, to take in the requirements, to start with a blank canvas, and to start digging into the company, the new industry, to learn how a company works. That is fun to me. I don't want AI to do that. That's something I'm good at. That's what I'm looking forward to in a project. Creating a logo, a new brand, a new color scheme, putting it together, doing marketing stuff, or doing music or art, or recording this podcast with you. It's a highlight of my week, and I love it, and it's a lot of fun. I don't need AI to do that. I want AI to do the boring things, the things that I really don't want to do, the things that that you have the want to do's and the have to do's, right? I keep teaching the kids, you do your homework first because that's what you have to do, and then you can do what you want to do, right? You can go play with your toys or whatever it is. I would like AI to do the have to do things, and then I can do the fun things, right? It blows my mind, and it makes me a bit sad and discouraged, to be honest. I think I'm just going to.
It does. And as much as Microsoft likes to say, oh, this is to help you, this is your Copilot, it's not going to take over. We as a society, we need to be careful, because we are developing something that with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, if I have, like for instance, planning out the schedule for the Top Gun Power Pages thing. Yeah, we have to figure out how much time and the hours and how much, the breaks will be or whatever. Yeah, let's throw that at AI. Let that generate that for me, because that's not fun. That's kind of whatever. But in terms of you and I having a conversation about this stuff, This is the human touch. This goes back to that article that you said earlier about generating content and stuff for blog posts and about the feedback we're getting. Again, let's keep that feedback coming. Let's keep things. There's a new hashtag. Keep it real, please.
Yeah, keep it real. Yeah, and we've talked about this before. We see it on talk submissions when we evaluate submissions for events. We can smell the AI on you a mile away. Keep it real or not do it, right? If you don't have the time to do it and do it right and be authentic and have it be you, then maybe you shouldn't do it. Because someone else will actually take pleasure in doing the work that you find tedious. They can do that instead. And you can find your niche and find the thing that you're passionate about and then do that and do that well. That is kind of where I'm coming at with all of this. And yeah, we can, because it is fake. But I think, talking about how it's dangerous. I mean, you and me have accumulated enough audio content out there for anyone to fake us in any way they want. Anyone can grab all of the recordings that we've done for Boost, and they can use our voices to do whatever they want at this point. They can have us saying all sorts of things, and that goes for any public speaker, that goes for any politician, that goes for anyone who's been interviewed a lot. And so it diminishes trust. You can't really trust what you see anymore. And this has proven it to me, because I've been kind of a bit naive, maybe thinking, I think I actually would be able to tell the difference because it would be too polished, right? It would be too perfect. But this wasn't. This was not too perfect or too polished. This would have fooled me any day, and it's so easy to make. So I don't know. Let's continue with the news and updates, I think, because I'm just getting a bit to be honest, I get a bit depressed about it because it scares me and I don't like it. And I don't want to be the AI pessimist, and I don't want to be the party pooper, because it's very unpopular these days to hate on AI because everyone's on the bandwagon. But if you look at the graph where you have the enthusiasm and yes, this is great, and then you peak and then you plummet, I think I'm on a fast track down plummeting at this point. And I haven't really been that hyped to begin with. So, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe let's spin this to positive stuff about some of the in-person events that are coming up to kind of wrap up everything. So like I said, so if we publish this on Wednesday, so tomorrow I will be in Dublin at the Irish Power Platform Summit. Now, speaking of sold out events, this is also sold out. If you have a ticket and you're not going to go, Joe Gill, who's putting this on, has asked, please release that ticket so they can give that to people in the waiting list. I'm looking forward to that. I'm on a roundtable panel, kind of an Ask Me Anything kind of thing with a few other MVPs and people from Microsoft. So come with your questions, just come and chat, whatever. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there in Dublin this week.
Yeah. That's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. And also we have Scottish Summit coming up, and Direction, AMA, and we have Microsoft Ignite. We haven't even talked about Microsoft Ignite. Also sold out in the middle of November. That's absolutely crazy. And of course, it just goes on and on. And also just wanted to mention and plug a little bit for AC/DC Article Developer Challenge, because I know we have a lot of Norwegian listeners. The submission date, you have to submit your team by, I think, mid-November. So you really need to get your teams together and sign up. And I bet we're going to sell out AC/DC this year. So if you're looking to participate, you need to get your butt in there and submit
Get your stuff together.
Get your peep together. Yeah. So, and you have, as always, been very diligent, and you put the release for the next episode in here, and it's October 16th.
Yeah. Wow. It's hard to believe we're in October already.
I know, and that is the week before Scottish Summit. And of course, if we're both there, then we're going to have a recap of that also, of course. And then, we'll just keep it rolling and not using AI, because still we're not. We're sourcing everything by hand.
No,
it's all us.
We're keeping it real.
Writing every word of the show note, every word of any post you ever see. Everything Boost is 100% handmade from us. So no AI to be seen. And I'm kind of proud about it. It kind of makes me feel proud. It shouldn't, because we should use AI probably at the same time. But you know what? I love doing this with you, and it's so much fun. And I want to keep it real. So there
I
you
love
go.
it too. Excellent.
That's good.
All right. Until
Yeah,
next time. Next time, keep it real.
Keep it real. There you go. All right. Talk soon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for listening. And if you like this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues in the community. Make sure to leave a rating and review of your favorite streaming service, and makes it easier for others to find us. Follow us on the social media platforms and make sure you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening to the Power Platform Boost podcast with your hosts, Ulrich Ackerbeck and Nick Dolman, and see you next time for your timely boost of Power Platform news.